Oh, my ears, my ears, my ears. Ow. Alright, let me go use the restroom, chat. I'll be back.
うおーセックス。うわーセックス。俺はセックスるんじゃね？俺自身が真のセックスになるんじゃ。セックス。やめろ、リス、お前。これ以上話体力が持たない。いえへ。俺はセックスになる。絶対にセックスになるんだ。セックス。セックス。やめろ。死んじまうぞ。リスお前命が生きても過ぎたセックス。
We're back. Oh. Okay, boys. Here we go. It's Higu time. We dying. Bro, this chapter has to be ending. We're 16 hours into this chapter. Ain't no way there's more. Tips? Okay. Yeah, we could tip it up. We could touch tips. Here we go. Record of malice inquiry request. Those are the 2 new ones. We did these. Alright, here we go. Okinomiya Police Station Command Center transmission recorded. June 20th, 8:08 p.m.
こちら沖宮 PS 感度良好です。
車両ナンバー紹介をお願いします。
Oh my fucking microphone. What is bro using?
副将、獅子骨、歯の4344。少々お時間もらえますがよろしいですか？
お願いします。
Number match. Shishibone H4344. Owner blank 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 blank. Address blank 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 blank. Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Vehicle make and model blank blank blank. Theft reports none. Oh wait, is this Takano's car? Nothing of note. Special mentions nothing of note.
沖宮 PS より大石社どうぞ。先ほどのナンバーが判明しました。大石社どうぞ。大石社、応答願います。あれ？電波悪いのかな。大石社、応答願。出ませんね。
大石さんが車両紹介？誰の車だよ。
村人の車ですね。至って平凡な。
何者だよ。大石さんが聞いてくるからにはただものじゃないんだろ。
Can he hail thing for the 8 months?
突起事項欄は完全に空欄ですね。S 号指定もなし。減点もなしだし。
バッシングでもされて腹が立ったんじゃないの？
What's up,
あの人
Castoon? Hello.
根に持つとなかなか忘れないタイプなんだよ。
That's it? What is that supposed to... Why did Oishi suddenly lose contact? What's that supposed to... Doesn't really tell us anything. Okay. Record of malice. He said it smelled. He said the food smelled. He said it smelled because I smelled. He said I smelled because I don't take baths. He said to take a bath 3 times a day because I was a smelly person. He said I had to stay in the bath for a long time every time. He must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing the man who died said. Why does he know what that man said before? That much is obvious. The same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Can't the sudden earthquake make a big hole in front of the house? If it did, he would definitely go and look into it. And then I just have to push him in. I won't give in until I get that chance. I won't give in, I won't cry. I won't give in, I won't cry. Ah, someone is apologizing again. What? That don't tell me anything. Who's smelly? Who's writing this? You? Okay. Alright. I mean, it could be Satoko being told that she's smelly and needs to wash constantly. Wait. I don't feel like it's Satoko. Let me just read that again. It's the same thing the man who died said. The man who died. How would Satoko know this? It can't be Satoko. I don't think it's Satoko. The same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Can't a sudden earthquake... I don't know. And then they say someone is apologizing again. I don't know. Off topic, your YouTube VOD may get taken down post DMCA check because I'm sure there were DMCA content. From what? What did I do? Bob is smelly? Fuck you. The body wasn't there. The police didn't arrest me because of that, but I didn't know whether to feel happy about it. Just like Satoko had said, I'd failed to kill her uncle. The body wasn't there, so I was forced to conclude as much, no matter what strange natural disaster, coincidence, or miracle it might have implied. In order to free Satoko, I became a demon. And this abnormal world was my reward. Yes, metaphorically, I had fallen into the demon world. I feel like he keeps saying metaphorically, but I feel like he actually has, but then that would assume that the curse is real. But then this thing is called curse killing. So I have no fucking clue what any of that means. For the life of Satoko's uncle, then that would have been fine. Since Satoko's uncle was still alive, still shackling her to him, I needed to become a demon once again. One more time. No, as many times as it took. I would kill that man over and over again until Satoko was liberated. I'd already woken. I looked at the clock to see that it was early in the morning at just about 5. It was already light outside. Once I had hardened my resolve to become a demon again, I could feel my whole body teeming with the awakened power once more. Time wasn't an issue. No matter what, I'd do it. I got myself up. The exhaustion from the past 2 days was completely swept away, and I didn't even feel sleepy anymore either. Wouldn't the doctor and all those people be out to try to get him? I slowly rose and made sure my body was moving like I wanted it to. I could feel blood flowing through each and every one of my fingers. As I got dressed, I let my mind wander and had strange thoughts. These 2 days, while I've said it was for Satoko's sake, the only thing on my mind has been killing. I've said it was for Satoko, but while actually carrying out the act, I had completely forgotten about Satoko, albeit only temporarily. Maybe initially it was for Satoko's sake, but now I was just a demon, killing for the sake of killing. And as a result, I'd sunk into a world fit for such a demon. Maybe it was the same for Satoshi. He resolved himself to kill his aunt to save Satoko, became a demon, then disappeared from the sunlit Hinamizawa, vanishing into the demon world. Which meant that after all was said and done, I'd met the same fate as him. I tried to avoid making the same mistakes, but it happened anyway. Oh, fuck. Something's in my throat. Which meant that maybe Satoshi was here. Satoshi had come to this world a year before me, so he would be here somewhere. Then, surprised, I stopped walking. This was fucking bells again. There was a second set of footsteps I'd grown so used to hearing.
ひょっとしてサトシなのか
The empty, lifeless air wouldn't give me an answer. But I felt a strange kind of relief that there was someone there, that Satoshi had stuck with me the whole time. Let's go, Satoshi. Once more. This time we will set Satoko free for sure. I quietly slipped out of the house so my parents wouldn't notice. They caught me now when I'd been out way too late for 2 days now. They'd give me a really angry talking to. I didn't have time to allow for that to happen. Today, I would put an end to it. If the dead body disappeared, then I didn't have to bury it. I could just burn it to ashes and then take them with me so I could kill him again every time he resurrected. I'd do it again. I'd kill him again, and this time I'd set her free. Outside, the morning light was so beautiful as to stagger belief. I went to the storage room to find weapons with which I could kill him for sure. Blunt or not, it didn't matter to me. Right now, I didn't need to care whether someone saw or if the police came. This world had gone crazy after all. A world where I'd shown up at the festival and had fun even though I wasn't there. Even if the police arrested me, I'd probably end up going right back home as if nothing had happened. Both me and the other Keiichi Maibara. Even without me, he'd fill in. I could vanish from Hinamizawa without anyone noticing. So basically, I didn't care if I was mistakenly killed. Even if I died, Keiichi Maibara would remain. After all, this isn't the world I belong in. If I was going to be killed mistakenly for Satoko's sake, then that was just part of my duty as her nini. As those desperate thoughts became serious, the morning air felt more refreshing to me, strangely enough.
これは怖いな。こいつにするか。
It was a hatchet meant for chopping thick firewood. Its hefty steel blade was sinister, almost as though it was a tool meant for killing people. Bro, we took Rena's axe. I couldn't exactly take it out in public like that, so I wrapped it in some old newspaper and tossed it into the basket on my bike.
連日 悪い用事に使ってばかりで悪いな。今日も頼むぜ。俺の足。
I apologize to my bike for some reason. For the past 3 days, I've only used it for dangerous things. I've been riding this bike ever since I lived in my old town. I could walk most places I wanted to go, so I hadn't used it all that much. My mom had bought it for me when I entered cram school, thinking it would be a convenient way to get to the station, since it was far away. So I'd always used it to get back and forth from cram school. I'd only ever put textbooks and class materials in the front basket too. I'd never tried to put a hatchet that I'd be using to kill someone in here. When I came to Hinamizawa, life finally felt fun. I met the best friends ever and had some of the greatest times ever. Those times might have been shattered now, but it was my greatest wish that I could get them back, even if I had to risk my life to do it. That's how fun those times had been. I killed someone, and now I was at it again, needing to kill someone. Murder was a crime. I didn't believe that people should ever think murder was okay, but still, the times I'd had were enjoyable enough for me to commit such a crime. My friends were irreplaceable, and the time spent with them a treasure. Hanging out, laughing, sometimes tricking each other, but always in a friendly way. I didn't fear committing any crime as long as it was for the sake of taking back those times that gave my heart so much pleasure. Yes, this was a value I decided to uphold. It wasn't something I learned from a school teacher. It was a noble path that I chose for myself. I thought back to when I first come to Hinamizawa. About how on the very first day Satoko had welcomed me via a blackboard eraser with a rock in it. That welcome really surprised the heck out of me. She would laugh, get angry, cry. She was never boring. She was obviously the most childlike one among us, but she was actually lively, full of vim and vigor, and good at meddling in other people's business. That went for Mion, Rena, and Rika-chan too. Wasn't Satoko the one at the center of everyone's laughing and banter? Rion is Mion and Rena put together. Satoko would try to look cool. Then Mion would make fun of her endlessly. Then Satoko would cry, which would put Rena in a state of ecstasy. Then Rika-chan would be greatly delighted. And I happened to get mixed up in it. We would always fool around like that. It was lonely when someone wasn't around, but if I had to name one for whom it was the worst, it would have been Satoko. Her smile was everyone's smile. Ever since she stopped smiling, so did the rest of us. And for the rest of us, not smiling was the same as dying. It was just like when I was silently going to cram school every day, just to maintain my unchanging test scores. So basically, we were nothing when she wasn't smiling. She was full of hot air, but she was our princess, cute and unhateable. In that case, I was her knight, searching for the dragon's castle in order to win her smile back.
ナイトなら武器は剣だろ。ツーハンデッドのかっこいいやつ。錆びた肉厚のナタで挑むナイトは、多分古今東西俺一人だな。
Then I saw an old person in the ridge of a field waving to me.
おやケイチ君かい朝のサイクリングかいね
おはようございます。
I reflexively waved back in a refreshing way. Should I really have been feeling so happy waving like that? Satoko's house would be right past this road, going beyond the rice paddies. Cicadas had woken up too, and the next thing I knew, I was the audience to their daily chorus. I gave myself a hit or two in the head and drove away my merry morning mood. I took a deep breath, then tilted my head back, quelling my pointless excitement. The body wasn't there. Its absence either meant my killing him had been an illusion, or that I'd killed him, and he'd risen from the dead. If I was at the festival, then maybe I should have considered it an illusion. Coach probably thought that way, which is why he treated me like a lunatic. But it being an illusion was just impossible. I killed him without a doubt. Without a doubt. If that had been an illusion, then that would make all of this Hinamizawa I was in right now an illusion. If that was the case, then here's how it would end up. I was actually in a vegetative state due to a traffic accident. I was currently dreaming in a hospital bed about how great it would be to spend time with friends and rice paddies like these. That was a terrifying thought, though. If this wasn't an illusion, then the only possible answer was that he'd resurrected. It would make him a literal monster or a demon. Wait. Maybe that's what the tip was? That he's possessed as well? The uncle? Then I was no less than a monster myself. I didn't hesitate to kill someone, and I could even wield curses. Takano-san had died probably because I'd cursed her. Or maybe that was a little much. If Coach and Oishi died too, like I'd cursed them too yesterday, then I'd believe it. Oishi did suddenly stop answering the radio. And the coach did say he would call Keiichi's parents. I set my bicycle aside and went to take a look. His motorbike wasn't here. Of course it wasn't. I sent it down to hell that night, throwing it into the Onigafuchi swamp. Or maybe, just like how the corpse wasn't here, maybe the motorbike didn't get thrown into the swamp either. The fact his bike wasn't here might have been because he had gone to town and hadn't come back, not necessarily because I'd thrown it into the swamp. If her uncle wasn't around, then that was convenient on its own. Then I would just show myself in, then wait for him to return sharpening my hatchet. If he was there. Forgotten sensations came back to my gut. A feeling of tension rose within me. The sensation was like poison, dulling my action, but it could also be the trigger to allow me to awaken to my superhuman, otherworldly self. It's its true form. I held the hatchet still wrapped in newspaper. Its weight in my hands was profound, sinister, and reliable. I didn't put on my watch, so I didn't know what time it was, but it was probably still a little before 7. Satoko would probably be awake, preparing breakfast and her lunch, but her uncle would probably still be lazing around in bed. A guy like him probably would have stayed up late drinking and probably always slept until noon. I considered ringing the doorbell and having Satoko open the door for me, but if her uncle woke up at the sound, I'd waste my chance of him still being asleep. If Satoko saw me sneaking inside without ringing the doorbell, she'd be surprised. If I ran into her, what would I say? I've come to kill your uncle for you, so stay quiet. No, I couldn't do that. That would be like making Satoko responsible for his death. Be quiet and go wait outside. Maybe that would do it. How would Satoko react to that? She would probably try and get me to give up on killing him. I would have to lie somehow to get her to go outside. Satoko didn't need to know that a murder was going to occur in this house. I couldn't quite think of a good lie to tell her, but I couldn't do much just standing around like this. I made up my mind and grabbed the doorknob. Then slowly turned it and pulled. It wasn't locked. The gap between the door and the wall steadily grew larger. The chain wasn't even on. The oppressive smell of life in Satoko's house hit me. At the entrance, there were a few pairs of shoes and sandals. I couldn't tell whether he was here or not just by looking at them. I could hear a television on somewhere. What the fuck? The television was in the messy dining room. There was food scattered around the table, giving an impression decidedly different from a happy family's mealtime. Meals were for eating food while thanking the person for making it. Meaning whatever occurred in this dining room wasn't a meal. Nobody in sight. No sign of anyone either. But with the television on, he must have been close. Could he have anticipated my coming and be hiding, waiting for me? The tension I felt was so thick, so tight that I thought it would choke me. Unless Satoko already killed him. The newspaper wrapping the hatchet's thick blade didn't hamper its power at all. I tightened my grip on it, then very carefully took a look around. Now, I say this because that intention of malice tip, right? Like, she was looking for an opportunity. Maybe she finally found it. Where had those peaceful feelings from before I arrived here gone? Even the sound of sweat bubbling up on my brow got on my nerves. And then I looked at the table and realized something. This wasn't breakfast. The grains of boiled rice were all hard and dried up. And was it last night's dinner? I left the dining room keeping vigilant, went down the hallway and found the stairs to the second floor. When that man was playing with his friends, he looked out of a second-story window. It was highly possible that room was his own and that he slept there. I tiptoed up the edges of the stairs, quietly climbing without making a sound. I couldn't hear any kind of snoring. I didn't hear anything up there. I went through a few rooms slowly and quietly, opening the paper doors, checking inside. But I still couldn't find anyone around. To search more efficiently, I got down on the floor and pressed my ear right up to it. I could hear the television in the dining room and a low hum, perhaps of boiling water. It was then that I started to harbor some feelings of suspicion. This house wasn't right. It seemed like people had been here since the TV was on, but it wasn't normal for nobody to be around this early in the morning. I silently descended stairs and went back into the dining room. I looked at the food scattered about. Completely dried up rice, an overturned bowl of miso soup, the package for a side dish bought at the supermarket. I could tell Satoko had definitely been the one who made this. The food was far from Mion's perfection or Rena's gentleness, but it was sincere. Judging by how she looked at me, or cooked for me at my house, and from the type and amount of side dishes, I deduced the meal was from last night. The numbers stamped into the food package read 83620, June 20th, 1983. That was yesterday. There was food for two, which meant that this was last night's dinner, and Satoko's uncle would have been here. Stop it, Keiichi. Don't even think about saying the word impossible again. Anyway, her uncle was here last night. That much was the truth. He had found fault with Satoko's food, thrown a bowl of miso soup, and flung the rest everywhere. Hidden deep within my feelings of calm and composure was lit a flame of anger and a curse. Should I have ever shown this man any mercy? Bump. I heard the sound again, the one from before, like a water boiler. What was it coming from? The first floor? But where? The bathroom, maybe. I could hear the noise coming from the other side of the frosted glass at the far end of the changing room. It had to have been the sound of water boiler for the bath. Steam was enshrouding the glass door, and the heat from it was leaking into the changing room where I was standing too. My misgivings deepened. People didn't normally take a bath this early in the morning. If one did, then it would mean that in this house, time had been stopped ever since some moment last night. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Was it being reheated? The water boiler in the bathroom had been active this whole time. I checked in a clothing basket and saw Satoko's familiar uniform stuffed in it. The uniform had stains and dried rice stuck to it. Certainly not something she could wear today. It's probably from the miso soup at the dinner table yesterday. I looked hard at the frosted glass, but I couldn't see anything through all the steam. And then an electric surge ran through my mind, and terrible premonition came over me. Could she? She couldn't possibly have been in there since last night. That would be impossible. But no, in Hinamizawa right now, nothing was impossible. Aw, shit. I'm telling you, I think she killed the uncle. I gulped audibly, then quietly pulled aside the glass door. Hot steaming air burst out of the slight opening. The fan wasn't on in the changing room, so it went completely white with the steam. Just as the hot vapor poured into the changing room, cooler air also flowed into the room with the bath, and I just heard, due to being hit by that air, a very weak moan. That was all I needed to know who it was.
Satoko!
No answer. Satoko was in the bathtub, surrounded by a thick layer of rising steam. The top half of her body was leaning over the edge of the tub, and she was passed out. The water boiler kept on making a whistling noise as if angered. I could see the gas flame through a small window. It was roaring at full force, completely blue. Satoko's entire body was boiled red and flaccid as though her bones had melted away. She was almost like a doll as she laid there unconscious. I wasn't sure how many seconds passed as I stared in complete bafflement. I came back to my senses and promptly shut off the boiler. Then I dragged Satoko's small body out of the bathtub. The water in it was as hot as the water in public baths. Was she in this boiling water for the entire night? She'll die, she'll die. Satoko's body was lighter than I expected as I laid her on the floor and wrapped her in a towel. I went back to the bathroom and opened up the vent, creating a path for a cool breeze to come through. Upon the breeze hitting her, Satoko moaned again.
Satoko! Keiichi da! Wakaru ka?
So that note had to have been Satoko, right? Because of the bath?
Hikoru ka?
Satoko recognized me and muttered a response, but I couldn't really tell what she was saying. Her eyes were muddy and unfocused. I could tell she wasn't completely conscious. Upon closer inspection, her limbs and waist were twitching slightly. This was way worse than normal overheating. This was dangerous. Didn't they call this heat stroke? Think, what would the teacher do if a girl passed out in the middle of summer during a marathon in gym class or something? I turned a water faucet in the kitchen all the way on and soaked a towel in it. I then took the cold towel and pressed it to Satoko's forehead. Satoko reacted harshly to the coldness and let out a muffled voice. For burns, right, you would soak the burn spot under running water. Then could I run cold water in the shower and cool her off like that? No, if it was that sudden, it wouldn't be good for her heart and she'd go into shock. I think I read that once before. Ugh. This was about as much nursing as I could possibly give her. Anything more than this would be too much for the likes of an
大
amateur.
丈夫かサトコ。もう大丈夫だからな。必ず俺がニーニーが助けてやるからな。
5039 5040
What was Satoko reciting under her breath? I brought my ear to her mouth to better make out the mysterious spell-like words she kept saying. That moment, I understood what they were for.
お前数を数えてるのか。なんで。
People tell little kids in the bath to count to 100 a lot, right? Satoko was counting like that. But 5,039?
バカ野郎。お前の家の風呂はいくつ数える決まりになってんだよ。
10,000. I doubted my ears and doubted her common sense. 10,000?
ふざけるなバカ野郎。1万なんて数えられるバカがどこにいるんだよ。数えられるわけねえだろ。その前にユダって死んじまうに決まってんだろ。どうしてこんなことに。
おじバカ
Last night, her uncle flew into a rage at the dinner she'd made, saying it stunk and was inedible. Satoko didn't understand what on earth he meant. It wasn't much different than what she usually made for him. Maybe he hated the smell of the pickled vegetables she'd brought in particular. Her uncle then decided the stink was originating from Satoko and shouted at her that she never ever took baths. And then he put Satoko into boiling water and told her not to come out until she counted 2. Alright, so the note was her. But if she said that last night, if he said that last night, how would she have written that note? I snapped and exploded, raising the newspaper-wrapped hatchet. I stampeded through the house. I searched for anything, traces, signs, smells, vibrations, heartbeats. With a war cry, I raced up the stairs with such force I could have stomped a hole through them. Then I found the futon in the room I thought to be her uncle's, and well aware he wasn't sleeping, and I bashed it with the hatchet. Did he run into the closet? I'll bust the entire closet down, door and all. If he's not there, maybe there's a secret door. Any switches or levers in the walls here? I smashed into wall after wall with the hatchet, crushing them. Dust rose into the air and broken pieces scattered across the floor. Smashed all the glass windows too for good measure. Why does it sound really similar to what Rena did? After I destroyed everything beyond recognition in her uncle's room, my reason finally kicked in and suppressed my emotions. Anyway, her uncle wasn't in the house right now. I'd have to leave killing him until later. Right now I had to do something about Satoko. I went back to the changing room. Satoko was still lying limp on the floor. There was nothing more an amateur like me could do for her. I needed to take her to the clinic. Coach had treated me like a lunatic yesterday and tried to lock me up in a mental hospital. I never wanted to see his damn face again. But I still needed to go to the infirmary one more time. I need to have a doctor look at Satoko. I thought about putting her in a dirty uniform lying in the laundry basket, but I had no experience dressing someone, so it would be pretty difficult. Shit, I don't have time to be wasting here. I eventually gave up on clothing her and decided to carry her in her bath towel. The clinic was close to Satoko's house. It would be way faster to carry her there than call 119 and get an ambulance. I threw the biggest towel I could find over her and prompted her to
立て
stand.
るか。俺が診療所までおぶって行ってやるから。
ありがとうですわ
Her words sounded clearer than before. She was starting to come back. I cried tears of relief just knowing she'd improved even a little bit. Satoko turned over so she was lying on her face and then put up a weak struggle to get up on her knees. I smoothly swept her up and put her on my back. The towel I put on her seemed like it was about to fall off.
バスタオル痛い。
すぐ着くからしばらくの間だけ我慢してろ。
It didn't hurt one bit to carry Satoko. She was light, too light. The lightness actually made me uneasy. Outside, it had gotten hotter, as though eager to attack Satoko. Fucking cicadas, why did it have to choose this morning to get so hot out? I didn't have time to swear at them. The clinic was this way. Hoisting Satoko on my back, I broke into a trot. Hang on, okay. The hilly road to the clinic, with which I had never had difficulties before, was now torturous. Big beads of sweat formed on my brow, and at some point, my breath had grown faint. The hatchet in my belt was heavy and made it hard to walk. I considered leaving it, but I couldn't let it go, at least not while Satoko's uncle was still breathing. Then the signboard for the Erie Clinic came into sight, but I quickly noticed something was odd, so I stopped. Oh shit. Several red revolving lights were flashing at the clinic. 3 police cars were parked in the parking lot with their lights on. There didn't need to be much else to inform me something had happened. I didn't want to see Coach, so I planned to leave Satoko in the clinic waiting room and give the receptionist a message. But with that police officer Oishi here, I couldn't go inside so carelessly.
なんですの？
Monka W? Holy shit.
パトカーがいっぱいいますで
Okay,
すわよ。
Jesus fuck. Alright. The old one is just like fucking naked. I gently put Satoko down in the shade of the thicket.
わからない。様子を見てくるからしばらくここに
I
いろ。
think Oishi and Coach might be dead.
レディをバスタオル1枚でこんなとこに置いてくなんてなってませんわね。
You're like 9 years old, Satoko. Relax, you're not a lady.
それだけ悪態がつけりゃ大丈夫だ。
I'll be right back, I added, getting to my feet. Cautious of my surroundings, I hid myself behind a car and got closer to the officers grouped at the clinic's entrance. I overheard an officer wearing a necktie, probably their leader, and a white-robed doctor having a discussion about something. The doctor didn't seem to be Coach. It was one of those who Coach told to make the tea
じゃあ
yesterday.
つまり最初に見つけたのは朝当番のあなただったと。それでどんな感じだったんです？
事務室の所長席のソファーに座って居眠りをしているように見えました。
Coach is dead.
で机の上に水差しと空き瓶になった睡眠薬があったんで、あなたはすぐに睡眠薬で自殺したんだと考えたと。それで
高熱と瞳孔の拡大に重度の意識障害も見られました。睡眠薬中毒の典型的な重症例だと思いましたので。
警察も救急も呼ばずに？
ここは病院で私は医師ですよ。生命が危険な状態にあるなら直ちに治療して当然です。
ああ、まあいいからいいから。それで
呼吸が不正常だったので人工呼吸を施しました。合わせて呼吸刺激薬を投与。効果が出なかったので人工呼吸器の準備をし。
ああ、はいはい。それでつまりいろいろ頑張ったけど結局ダメだったと。そういうわけですよね。通報は死んでから直ちに？
はい。救うことができずとても残念です。
Just on a radio, and one of the police cars started to buzz, producing a broken mechanical
こちら
voice.
本部、こちら本部。小宮山さん、聞こえますか？どうぞ。
Oh, she's dead.
もしもし、小宮山です。ああ、お疲れ様です。睡眠薬での自殺みたいですね。遺書の類はなし。
Suicide? What the heck were they talking about? Someone had committed suicide at the clinic? But who? I wish Takano-san dead and she died the next day. And yesterday I wish Coach was dead. Then, could he have?
普段から睡眠薬を常用していたとかは？
あまり知りません。
日頃疲れたとか死にたいとかそんなこと言ってました？
入江先生は普段からああいう性格でしたから。
This doesn't look like Wuthering Waves. We ain't into Wuthering Waves, bro.
とてもそんな風には。
Okay, so the director's actually dead. So I was right, Iri-sensei. They were talking about Coach. Coach killed himself. Why would he do that? There couldn't have been any reason he wanted to die. The only reason that came to mind was that I wanted him dead. This world was insane. If I wanted someone dead, they'd die. That was the kind of world this was. Then what about Oishi? What happened to him? If people really died because I wanted them to, then something should have happened to him too.
そちらに応援が向かいました。課長からそちらは応援に任せて大石社の捜索に戻るとのことです。
了解しました。じゃあすいません。こっちに今応援が来てるそうですから、現場はこのままにしておいてください。おい、行くぞ。
The officers nodded and split up into patrol cars. Did they just say searching for Oishi's car? Searching for his car? That meant he had gone missing? Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi, when I wished for it, the very next day, they disappeared. No matter how angry you were when you said you wished someone was dead, it didn't normally happen. Everyone knew just wishing it wouldn't make them dead. That's why people could utter such curses so lightly. But the curses I uttered were being granted. At the time, I hadn't been walking, and yet, tap. I heard a footstep. And it wasn't only one this time. Tap, tap. They came from behind. And they stood right behind me. Mion? Reaching a hand for my shoulder? Oh.
一体何事なんですの?
Okay, Satoko. Jesus Christ.
サトコか、脅かすなよ。
驚いたのはこっちでしてよ。いきなり大声を出さないでくださいまし。
It was Satoko. Her eyes were still unstable and focused, but she seemed able to at least walk on her own now. She looked far better now compared to her earlier exhausted
具合は
state.
どうなんだ？もう大丈夫なのか？
まだ頭が痛いですけど、いつまでもこんな格好で表にいられませんもの。
She gave me a smile, a show of courage, but her legs were still shaky.
それより、これは一体何事なんですの？今、警察が話してるのを聞いてた限りじゃ。
監督が自殺したらしい。
え？
Satoko was at a loss for words. Her face grew paler and paler, and I could tell she was doubting her own ears.
ケイチさん、それ、本当ですの？何かの聞き間違いじゃないんですの？
確かにそう聞いたよ。入江先生が睡眠薬で自殺したって。
Satoko went down on her knees and broke out into tears.
嘘。監督が自殺なんて、そんなの絶対に。
As I watched Satoko crying and clawing at the grass, I felt myself trapped by guilt and remorse. I got so angry that Coach was treating me like a madman yesterday, that he'd betrayed me, that I thought he'd be better off dead. But even Coach, who to me deserved to die, still must have had people who loved and respected him, like Satoko here. In my selfish, egotistical anger, I wished for his death and it was granted. And now Satoko is crying hysterically as a result. The guilt tore at my heart. I worked myself up to murder for Satoko's sake. I decided I wanted Satoko to be happy. But was that really all it took? Murder meant taking someone's life. It meant making everyone attached to that person sad. In Satoko's uncle's case, of course nobody would be sad. So I didn't feel a sense of guilt at all. But Coach's death was different. I had wanted to make Satoko happy. And that it resulted in me inflicting a deep sadness upon her, hadn't it? But Coach killed himself. It wasn't my... Satoko still hadn't stopped crying, but she seemed to be a little calmer now. Wiping her tears, she stood up.
すまない。
And the only thing I could think of to say to her was an apology.
どうして謝りますの？
俺、昨日監督とお前なんか呪ったんだ。呪ったから本当に死んじゃって。
Satoko looked at me dubiously for a few moments. Eventually her expression softened as she interpreted my words in her own way.
ケイチさんのせいではありませんわ。監督も大人ですもの。 自分の命を捨てるに値する都合があって悩んだ末に選んだんですもの。誰のせいでもありませんわ。
She smiled a little, trying to comfort me.
いつまでもこのままでいたくありませんわ。服が欲しい。
You know, realistically, it could also be Mion taking care of people who aren't fucking doing what they need to, right? The whole thing that Rena let Keiichi go to the director at the clinic because she expected the director to take care of Keiichi. But they let Keiichi escape, so maybe Mion just fucking had him killed. And then same thing with Oishi. Oishi, you know, was like fucking trying to get too close to the village in terms of investigation and had him removed as well. You're just gonna blame Mion till the end of the game, aren't you? Listen, Mion's my favorite character, okay?
いいのかよ。診療所に行って見てもらった方が。
服を着てから見てもらっても別に死にはしませんわ。
Satoko readjusted her bath towel and started back along the path. Her stride was wobbly and it didn't look like she'd recovered as much as she let on. At first, Satoko tried to go back home, but it was time of the morning when people were going to school and to work, so after seeing people walking around, she thought better of it. She must have been pretty embarrassed wearing only the towel.
リカの家に行きますわよ。私の服あるはずですから。どうしたんですの、ケイイチさん。
Satoko noticed how I was hanging my head and spoke to me.
監督はああ見えても大人ですのよ。ケイイチさんと喧嘩したくらいで自殺するような人ではありませんわ。自分を責めるのをおやしなさいませ。
At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but with 3 people now, I couldn't discard the possibility. There was no such thing as impossible in this world.
この数日おかしいんだ。
何がですの？
Satoko seemed to be having trouble breathing, but she still tried to listen to what I had to say.
おとといの綿流しのお祭り、お前は途中で帰ったから行かなかったんだよな。そして俺は祭りに行ってみんなと遊んだ。
らしいですわね。あの時は取り乱して申し訳ありませんでしたわね。
Satoko remembered how she blew up at me in the classroom yesterday and bowed to me a little.
実は俺祭りに行っていないって言ったら信じるか？
Satoko looked at me confused. She couldn't help it, of course.
信じられるわけありませんわ。何を今さら。
信じられないだろう。信じられないのはだって俺は祭りに行っていないのに、俺が祭りに現れてみんなと遊んだって言うんだ。こんなの信じられるわけないだろ。
それ本気ですの？
ああ、あの綿流しの夜からおかしいんだ。いつの間にか変な足音がペタペタとついてくるようになって。
The blood drained from Satoko's expression.
足音がペタペタ。
This might be what Satoshi experienced.
そうなんだ。最初は気のせいだと思ってたけど、ずっとついてくるんだ。多分今もついてきてる。里子の足音と混じってよく聞き分けられないけれど。
Satoko took a long and hard look at me. Maybe she was doubting my sanity. Coach did the same thing. I mean, why wouldn't he after telling him this? The more I thought about it, the more I was unable to endure the feeling that my hatred for Coach had been
綿流し
meaningless.
の日、俺は祭りに行かず、あることをしていたんだ。
Is he gonna tell?
ずっとだぞ。眠ったり意識がなくなったりしたことはなかった。だから寝ぼけ気分でフラフラと記憶になく祭りに出かけた
I thought he was
な
about
ん
to
てこと
tell her
はあ
ass
りえな
that
い。
he was killing her uncle.
それはおかしいですわね。ならどうやってお祭りで遊んだんですの？
だから 俺は祭りには行ってないんだよ。
No, I can't let myself get emotional. If I get agitated now, that'd be like proving that there's something wrong with my head.
ごめん。みんなが信じてくれないんで、つい。
圭一さんがそう言うなら、信じてあげますわ。それで？
あの夜、高野さんに会ったんだ。それで、見下されたと思って、俺は心の中で念じたんだ。お前なんか死んじまえって。
高野さんって、どことなくそういう雰囲気がございますものね。その気持ち、わからなくもありませんでしたよ。
高野さんが死んだの、昨日の話だ。どこかで焼け死んだらしい。
それ、本当ですの？死んだんですの？
俺が死ねと願うと、次の日には死んでるんだ。それから警察の大石ってやつも。知ってるか？あのムカつく太った刑事みたいなやつ。
Rude. Satoko nodded a little.
さっき警察が話してるのを聞いたんだが、どうもあいつ行方不明になってるらしい。実は昨日あいつにも死んじまえって念じてたんだ。
それ、本当の話ですの？
嘘じゃない。俺だって信じたくないけど、本当の話なんだ。高野さんも監督も大石も、俺が死ねと念じたら本当に死んでしまったんだ。
For a little while, Satoko was at a loss. A long silence ensued. Why is she laughing, huh?
それは怖い話ですわね。圭一さんに、せめて嫌われないように気をつけませんと。
それだけじゃない。もっとおかしいこともあるんだ。それは
Oh
お
shit,
前の
he's gonna fucking say
おじ
it.
なんだ。
おじさまの話はやめてくださいましな。
Oh shit.
昨日いたんだろ。
What was that reaction though?
お前の家に。
あの人の話はやめてくださいます。嫌なんですの。
ありえないんだ。あいつがいるわけがないんだ。
Oh my god. Keiichi. He's doing stupid shit, bro.
やめてって言ってますのよ。
Oh god.
あの男が綿流しの夜以降いるわけがないんだ。だって
あの男のことはもう嫌なんですの。
俺が殺したんだ、この手で。
Oh boy. Even the cicada stopped crying. Her face was streaked with tears and it stiffened even more as she looked at me in disbelief.
俺が綿流しの祭りの夜にお前の叔父を殺したんだ。だからお前の家に帰ってくるなんてことはありえないんだ。
But still, he went back, and last night he found fault with the dinner you made him, yelled all sorts of things at you, and then basically boiled you in the bathtub. That couldn't possibly have happened.
だから俺はあの男を確かに殺したという証拠を確かめるために。だがそこには死体はなかった。こんなことがあり得ると思うか？確かに殺したのに死体がないんだ。そして何事もなかったかのように帰宅してお前の前にこんなことがあっていいはずないだろう。
Satoko's entire body stiffened. She was shrinking away like there was someone in front of her about to hurt
お
her.
前も俺のこと頭が変になったって思ってるんだろうな。無理もないさ。俺だって信じられない。
圭一さんはきっと偶然呪った人が死んでしまったんで混乱してるだけに違いありませんわ。
Yeah, he confused all right.
監督の自殺にショックを受けて気が動転してるだけなんですのよ。今日はもう学校を休んでお家で休んだ方がよろしいと思いますわ。
Oh no, bro's gonna wish Satoko dead now?
私はもう平気ですから、どうかご自分の体を大事になさいまし。
Satoko spoke like she understood me, but she was also told me to go home. I could see the revulsion in her face, and knew that she didn't want to be around me anymore.
サトコちゃんと診療所まで見送ったら俺も帰る。サトコだってまだ足元がフラフラじゃないか。途中で倒れたら大変だぞ。
Bro, she just wants to get the fuck away from you, I'm gonna be honest.
私はもう本当に大丈夫なんですのよ。
She's just like, get your freak ass away from me, please. Oh boy.
男の人にいつまでもこんな姿を晒していたくないんですのよ。
She wobbled up the shrine steps, looking like she was about to fall. I immediately ran up to her and helped her stay on her feet. But then Satoko promptly jumped away from me. That outright rejection hurt a lot. Don't do it. Don't do it, Keiichi. Don't fucking curse her. I know you're gonna fucking do it. When she got to the top of the stairs, her breathing was ragged and she wasn't even looking at me. At this point, I was being ignored. Well, it was more like she didn't want to have anything to do with me. It really was a feeling of rejection. And that hurt my heart more than any blade could have. This is the path I chose for her sake. To be treated like this at the end of it all was just so saddening. Don't be naive, Keiichi Maebara. You never wanted to be repaid in the first place. You didn't do it so that Satoko would thank you. You did it so Satoko would be happy. And that... What? I didn't see the messenger. And that was what led to this ending. Rika-chan's house was a disaster prevention storehouse used by the town council. If you went past it a little further through the shrine grounds, you'd apparently reach the back of the assembly hall. Satoko was heading there, walking quickly, the gravel under her feet crunching as she went. Did she want to go back there, get there as soon as possible, or did she want to run away? I couldn't tell. And then, I heard the vigorous sounds of wings flapping. I turned around and saw a crow. I hadn't seen many crows since coming to Hinamizawa. I saw them a lot in my old town, though. On garbage day, they flock to trash collection points, peck through the bags with their beaks, and drag out the contents and have a feast. As I was remembering that, I saw a few crows flocking around the shrine's donation box. I thought how terrible it was for someone to leave a garbage bag in a place like that. The cicadas quieted. Breathing stopped. Thought ceased. Even time came to a halt. I ran over to where the crows were flocking. I ran there in order to drive a horrible idea out of my mind. I definitely hadn't wanted this. There's no way I would ever wish for this even by mistake. This was not. Why is Rika dead? When the crow's big black bodies flew away, they exposed a garbage bag. What the fuck is happening, bro? I don't even... What is bro, this is the most nonsensical, like, confusing fucking chapter ever. What the fuck? Why is Rika dead? And why is her eyes bleeding? Did she use her Mangekyo Sharingan a couple too many times? What had I seen there? The screams had escaped from my throat before I understood what I was looking at. What was this? Satoko came over as well, realizing something had happened, and she looked over my shoulder and then screamed as well. This wasn't. The garbage bag was crimson, dyed in fresh blood. Even enough of this stupid roundabout way of saying it. That's right, yes. It was Rika-chan, our friend Satoko's best friend. Always easygoing, clever as a cat, but so cute you couldn't hate her. Our friend Rika-chan, she was... Rika-chan was stark naked. She was face up, limbs sprawled. Her eyes were like glass, just staring up into the sky. And then... Ah!
Rika! Rika! Rika!
Satoko broke down crying on the spot, and yet she still couldn't approach her friend's remains. The crows had gotten through the garbage bag and they dragged out an apple peel and spread it all over. No, crows, they couldn't do this. On the spot, I started vomiting. The sour taste became a bitter one as I threw up over and over again. Rika-chan, her stomach was cut wide open, vertically, completely open. What the? Nah, listen, I'm thinking it's Mion, bro. I feel like it is Mion. Now, hear me out, alright? You know how Satoko was all like... Or how Mion last chapter was all like that fucking Satoko, she's fucking cursed, you know? And now Mion's like blaming Satoko for everything that's probably maybe happening in this chapter, and she's fucking getting rid of everybody connected to Satoko and then gonna get rid of her. I mean, who else is left, right? There's nobody fucking left besides Mion and Rena, so...
Rika!
Shion? True, Shion has been a bit of a backseat in this chapter, but like... we have no reason to suspect her besides the fact that she like randomly became really defensive about Satoko, or Satoshi. Crows couldn't have done this, and from her open stomach, her organs, her bowels were dragged out like children's toys left all over the floor. That unbelievable sight induced oxygen deprivation in my brain. Color left my vision, a pounding headache, dizzy, and I wanted to vomit. It was like the nightmarish remains of a ceremonial killing. Someone, somewhere, had killed Rika-chan, brought her here, laid her here, with her limbs sprawled out, and then cut open her stomach, and dragged out her intestines. Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Red and pink viscera were sticking out of her gut, and her intestines were scattered in every direction, like it had been for fun. The entire ground was covered in an ocean of red and black. A few of the crows had hopped around inside that ocean. They walked through the sea of blood, leaving bloody footprints, and those footprints, there were several still left on Rika-chan's body. Those sinister prints made it seem even more like a bizarre ritual killing. I may have wished for Takano-san and Coach and Oishi to die, but I didn't remember ever wishing for Rika-chan's death. I stumbled backwards and stepped on newspaper. A newspaper in a place like this? The newspaper was what was covering my hatchet. I had kept it wrapped up on my belt in order to carry Satoko, and that newspaper had fallen off. Sheesh, don't scare me like that. I bent down to pick it up, and then Satoko looked at me with such disbelief I'd never seen and froze. She was looking straight at me at the hatchet on my belt. Oh my god. Satoko, trembling madly, backed away. She didn't care at all that she was exposing herself through the towel. She just trembled and tried to step back from the demon in front of her. Screaming weakly, Satoko began to run unsteadily. Run away, that is. This fucking Jesus Christ, man. It's cooked. The way she ran away was so weak, so slow. So if I wanted to go after her, I could have caught up. But if I try to grab Satoko's shoulders, right now, she might actually go crazy. So I had to follow her and try to clear this up.
高野さんを殺して、監督を殺して、大石さんも殺したんでございましょう。おじさまを殺そうとして、リカまで。人殺し。違う。
How would I have killed your uncle? You literally said he's not dead.
俺じゃない。俺は殺してなんかいない。
何を言ってるんですの？あなたさっき自分で言ったじゃありませんの。死ねって。それでみんな死んでしまったんでしょ？
俺は死ねって思っただけで別に。
自分で何をしたか記憶に残っていないんでございましょう。そんな人の話なんか信用できるわけありませんわ。人を殺した時の記憶が欠落してるだけなんじゃありませんの。いや、記憶がないふりをしてるだけなんじゃありませんの。第一、そのナタは何なんですのよ。
Wants to kill your uncle.
説明してごらんなさいな。
これは。
ほら。
Speak!
圭一さんは殺人鬼じゃありませんの。どうしてですの？
The fuck? Bro's fucking mouth stopped working?
ちょっと意地悪だったけど、楽しくて優しい。一度は本当のニーニーかもしれないとまで思ったのに。どうしてそんな風になってしまったんですの？
I might have been able to slowly answer each one of Satoko's questions at a time. But in this situation, explaining my innocence in such a short period of time was impossible. I mean, I didn't even know if I was really innocent anyway. At the very least, I killed Satoko's uncle. There was no body, but I killed him, without a doubt. At that point, I was far from innocent. And I wish Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi were dead. And that, mine, was granted. Curse of mine was granted. When I wished for Takano-san to die, I didn't think of it as anything more than a normal thing you'd say to someone you didn't like. But then she actually did die. I realized that if I wanted people to die, they would. And hoping it would happen again, I cursed Coach and Oishi to the same fate. So even ignoring Takano-san's death, Coach's and Oishi's were completely premeditated crimes. Was I a killer just like Satoko said? Was I unable to distinguish between illusion and reality and turned into a demon without remembering it, becoming a killer who carried out Oishiro-sama's curse? No, that couldn't be. It was impossible. Ah, damn it. The very word impossible is impossible in Hinozawa right now. How many freaking times have I said that word these past 3 days? Satoko had started crying again, was walking unsteadily. At first it felt like she was still running, but now it was like she was walking away, crying from someone bullying her.
どうしてこんなことになってしまったんですの？どうして
If there was an answer to that, then I wanted to know it too. Why? Why had it turned out like this?
ニーニーがいなくなってずっと寂しかったけど、圭一さんが転校してきてくれて、またみんな明るくなって楽しくなって、毎日が光ってたのに。
Yeah, she was right. Those days were bright and beautiful. And yet, after that, Satoko and I shouted the exact same thing.
こんなことに。
Cicadas were sneering at the spectacle, our strange game of tag. Ah, shut up, shut up, shut up. Eventually, I heard the murmuring of a stream. The forest parted and a suspension bridge appeared. Satoko was crossing dangerously, wobbling as though she might fall at any moment. And when I stepped onto the bridge, it swayed a lot, causing Satoko to stagger and fall on the spot.
大丈夫か、Satoko。
近寄らないで。この人殺し。
Satoko shouted, her hatred made very clear. It was sad. If words could cut, then this warmth flowing from my eyes would have been blood for sure.
どうしてこうなってしまったんですの？ケンチさんのこと大好きだったのに。
I wanted to go up to her and give her a hand, but the distance between us was uncrossable. If I got any closer, Satoko would start shouting again and say things that would hurt me deeply again. So I couldn't approach any closer than this.
Satoko、俺にもなんでこうなったか わからないんだ。でもこれだけは言える。リカちゃんを殺したのは俺じゃないんだ。それだけは絶対に。
いい加減なこと言わないでほしいですわ。自分の記憶にも自信が持てない人が何を言ったってどう信じればいいって言うんですの。
Satoko just explaining to us that Keiichi's a dumb fucking unreliable narrator. I tightened my hands into fists. This was mortifying. I wasn't crazy. Hinamizawa was crazy. Ever since I wandered into it, lost on that one night. This insane world where I was at the festival when I wasn't and the uncle I killed was alive. Where death would come just by wishing for it. It was this world's fault. Keiichi. Mio and Arena started acting strangely like they were possessed by something too, and Coach wouldn't believe anything I had to say. And even Satoko, who I should have protected, was yelling at me like this. Was the price for killing a man supposed to be this high? Was I really going to be forced to stay in such a bitter world? I did the right thing. At least I wanted to. So then, why? I hated it. Every time I asked why, the days Satoko and I enjoyed in peace went so wrong.
Satoko, 信じてくれ。俺は人殺しじゃない。
ではそのナタは何なんですの。
Just tell her!
納得のいく説明はできまして。
このナタが怖いのか。
Why are you saying that? Just answer the fuck. This stupid motherfucker, bro.
じゃあ捨てるよ。それなら安心だろ。
Satoko didn't nod, but she seemed to be in agreement with that proposition. I clumsily took the hatchet out of my belt and dropped it over the side of the bridge into the stream below. Yep, I killed someone now. I'll bet you there was some poor motherfucker down there fishing and now he just fucking hatchet landed on his head and died.
捨てたぞ。これで話を聞いてくれるな。
Bro just killed another motherfucker.
武器を捨てたぐらいで気を許すと思いまして。
Dark Warson, thank you for the 13 months.
You ignored my sub for the previous 2 months, really.
My
now.
bad, my bad.
ケイイチさんほどの方なら私を捨てて締め殺すなんて簡単でしょうに。
Oh my god, Jesus Christ, okay, I mean. Like hell I would ever want to kill Satoko. You idiot.
じゃあどうしたらいい。両手を頭の上で組んだらいいか。
そうですわね。両手を頭の上で組んで後ろを向いてくださいます。
It was a cunning plan, much like one she used during club activities. Putting my hands on my head, turning away would mean I couldn't attack Satoko very easily. I immediately acquiesced to her request since it would make her feel better. Crazy Bango, thank you for the 15 as well.
俺の話を聞いてくれ。
Satoko stood up, then carefully approached me from behind, and then she actually came right up behind me. She was so close, and yet I was so sad that I wasn't allowed to turn
ケイイ
around.
チさんが悪くないのはなんとなくうすうす分かっていましたわ。
え？
多分あなたは何か悪いものに乗り移られただけなんですの。さっきまではケイイチさんが殺人鬼なんだと思ってたけど、あなたの目を見ていたら
I could hear that Satoko was still crying, but her voice was gentle just the same. Moravia, thank you for the 34.
ケイイチさんが
She's pushing him, bro. There's no way she's gonna push him off.
ケイイチさんの体を何か悪いものが乗っ取って悪事に駆り立てただけ。
She's speaking literally right now? Or is she trying to admonish me? I couldn't tell.
思えばひょっとするとあの人たちもケイイチさんと同じものに乗り移られていたのかもしれない。あの時は殺されるとしか思わなかったからそこまでは考えが及ばなかったけど、今ならわかる。あれは乗り移った何か悪いものの仕業だった。
サトコ、何の話だ。
It was less like she was talking to me and more like she was talking to herself, like she was confessing at my back.
分かってるんですの。身に覚えがないわけじゃないんですのよ。
Satoko's voice started to become mixed with sobs. Her pain voice tore at my heart. But I didn't know what Satoko was talking
西
about.
宮殿の屋根に よじ登ったことがありますの。何年も前のことですわ。
Once, when Satoko was playing hide and seek at the shrine ground, she climbed onto the roof of the storehouse for her ritual implements, which everyone said not to go near, and hid. Then Satoko saw that she could get in through a window meant for ventilation. For Satoko, the word curse was plenty scary, but she was more curious about what was inside the unknown storehouse. She removed the grating on the window, which was already hanging off, slid her small body into it, and climbed down inside. It was too dark to see much, but after descending, she realized just how high up she'd been. Despite the darkness, she could see a few things around her thanks to the faint light coming in from the air window. And to her disappointment, it was just a regular old storehouse. She tried to leave, but the door was locked up tight from the outside and it was made to not open from within. She would have to go back out through the ventilation window she'd come in from. But the window was high on the wall and there was no way she would be able to climb back up. Satoko desperately tried not to cry and racked her brain thinking of a way to get up there. There were a lot of birdcage-looking things hanging by chains from the ceiling. She took the hanging chains and strung them along the wall. Oh, shit. If she climbed up the bundle of chains, she might be able to manage to climb up through to the ventilation window. There was nothing else she could do, so she had to try. And try she did. It was dark and creepy, and she didn't want to stay there forever. The more she thought about that, the more she panicked. She climbed the bundle of chains. Satoko could hear the clinks and clangs of everything creaking underneath her weight. And then, just as her hand reached the window, one of the metal fixtures she'd used to stick the chains on the wall flew away, and the chains all began to pull loudly and furiously every which way. Spurred on by the sounds behind her, she managed to get back onto the roof from the window. Because of the weight of the flailing bundle of chains, the other fixtures broke, and then one of the big bird cages hanging from the ceiling fell to the floor with a huge noise. Under it was an image of Orishiro-sama. His vessel and cage took off one of the arms and trapped some other implements beneath it. It didn't take very long for her to grow scared of what she'd done. The deafening noise could be heard from the rest of the shrine grounds. A few other children heard it and gathered around, and of course Rika was one of them. Then Rika's father, the shrine's priest, with an angry look ran over, and then, as for what happened next, it's painful to remember. The only one who knew where Rika's parents kept the key to the ritual storehouse was Rika. So he scolded her, saying that this happened because Rika pulled a prank and hid me in there. He was very angry and menacing. Just looking at him was enough to frighten anyone. He exposed Rika's back, took a strangely shaped ritual cane or something, and struck her with it several times. Rika's words at the time, "It wasn't me, it wasn't me, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." That pitiful voice, I still can't get it out of my head. I should have said it was me. I should have said so to save my best friend from that false accusation, without being afraid of Rika's father's terrible temper. Rika gritted her teeth and cried at the crime she didn't remember doing. Ever since then, the world had been strange.
わかってるんですの。私には。これは、お社様のたたりだって。あの時、最後伝を怪我して、親友を見捨てた私への天罰だって。
お社様のたたり。
父も母も、濁流に消えた。意地悪だったおばも死んだけど、誰よりも私を可愛がってくれた。ニーニーも。私、そして、圭一さんが転校してきて、やっと楽しい毎日が戻ってきたと思ったのに、今度は圭一さんが取りつかれて、リカも殺されて。聞いたの私。お社様は、本当にたたりをなすときは、本人をすぐに殺さないんだって。親しい人から順に殺して、みんな殺してから最後に殺すんだって。だから圭一さんもたたりにやられて、きっと今度はレナさんやミオンさんがたたられてしまうんですわ。そして殺したり殺されたり。もういや。
Well, joke's on you. Rena and Mion are like down to kill any time. Like they were about to kill me yesterday, so.
落ち着けよ、サトコ。たたりなんかない。誰もお前をいじめたりなんかしないって。
When I turned around, I was thrust away with amazing force. Given my hands were awkwardly placed on my head, I couldn't take the fall and lost my balance. I've been pushed not into the bridge, but to the side. Towards the stream. No, this can't be happening. What? As one last miracle, I was allowed to grab a cord hanging from the bridge. Far below me was a stream. We were pretty high up, and below were rocks of all sizes. If I fell, it clearly wouldn't be pretty. The entire bridge was tilting under my body weight. My frail little grip probably wouldn't last another minute before my fingers had to let go. Wait. Do you think that intent of menace was Satoko talking about Keiichi and the dead man, and what the dead man had said that this other person was also saying was her uncle, and the uncle had already actually been dead, and Keiichi was just repeating things that the dead uncle that she killed was saying, and she was saying in that intent of menace that she's gonna kill Keiichi as well because he's possessed.
Satoko!
I didn't understand myself what I meant by shouting her name then. Was I asking her to save me? Or was I asking her why she did this? Finally, everything came back into focus and I saw Satoko. Yo, watch, Satoko's gonna have a little fucking demon smile. And I was surprised at what an odd expression she had. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was an expression of righteous anger meant only for those who needed to die. What the fuck? Yo, bro, Satoko, you ugly as fuck. Fucking Smeagol goblin looking motherfucker. She screamed, she jerked the bridge to and fro. She didn't have to do that. I was going to fall anyway.
Satoko, これだけは聞いてくれ。
I don't know what my face looked like at the time, but it seemed like it was enough to quell Satoko's
俺のした
agitation.
ことは確かに褒められるものじゃない。いや、いけないことだったかもしれない。だけど、お前に幸せになってほしくってしたことだったんだ。それだけは信じてくれ。
こいつ最後の最後でケイイチさんのふりを。
Satoko didn't seem to have any more desire to listen to what I had to say. And for that to happen at the very end like this was
お
tragic.
前に褒められたくてやったわけじゃなかった。お前に幸せになってさえもらえればよかった。俺たちはダメなんだ。お前が笑っていないとダメなんだ。だから俺が消えたら笑ってくれ。俺が死ぬことで新しい生活を迎えたならきっと笑ってくれ。それだけ約束してくれないか。
喋るな。
Okay,
ケイイチさんの
Jesus.
口調で喋るな。落ちろ。落ちてしまえ。
Not very nice. And those were the last words Satoko ever said to me. Those sad, tragic, and altogether unrewarding words. What on earth was I? My desire to make Satoko happy ended up like this. Where did I first go wrong? And what was the mistake I made? When did I make it? Was I the crazy one, or was it Hinamizawa? Even after all this, I thought I wasn't crazy at all. It was this eerie world that was crazy, this world I'd accidentally wandered into that one night. Because of that fun world where I never doubted all the crazy times we had as a club would go on forever. It couldn't possibly have transformed into such an abnormal world. That fun world wouldn't have ever ended it with this, with Satoko pushing me to my death. In the end, I was going to be swallowed up by this crazy world. and disappear. No, I probably already disappeared. Yes, probably, on the night of Watanagashi. I'm sure that in the world I really belonged to, I had vanished that night and everyone was worried. It was laughable that I had taken this long to figure out I wasn't around anymore. Oishiro-sama's curse on the 5th year was Satoko's uncle dying and me disappearing. In the real world, Satoko had already been freed. Maybe my friends were all lamenting my disappearance and valiantly trying to get back on their feet. And even though they were down to 4 people, the club would reopen and they would have good times without me. Waiting for the day when I would come back. I'm sorry, everyone. I couldn't come back home. But this is what I wish for. It was my wish for Satoko to smile and my duty as her nini. At this point, there will be nobody left to torture you. Because Satoshi and I, it took 2 years, but we succeeded. That annoying toothy smile of yours. We wanted to see it one more time. Oh. Keiichi dead? My pain wasn't gentle or merciful. It was a sharp pain, violent, powerful, and ruthless. What little compassion I had receded in the span of a moment. And now I could die. I could say goodbye to this insane world. Farewell, crazed Hinamizawa. Thanks for giving me the psychic power to kill people whenever I wanted. You'll still allow it, I'll wish for one last thing. The death of this very world, of this crazed Hinamizawa, so that nobody would ever again have to find themselves lost here again. There's no way this is how this entire chapter ends, right? It's got to just be this chapter. It can't be the entire chapter. Okay, there's one
Cinema.
more. Okay, there's one more. Witness the final showdown. One more? Nope. We ain't got time for one more, boys. Alright. But, hang on. Let me explain to you what I meant about this. Hang on. I need to explain to you what I meant by this. Maybe not. Am I misunderstanding the wording on this? Maybe not. It's legit like 10 minutes left? It's not long? Alright, fine. I swear if these bozos are lying to me and this is a long-ass fucking chapter. They said it's short. Here we go. My head was pounding. The sky was bright. It was cold too. I wish we could see Mion and Rena one more time. It hurt. Like, Satoko's fucking annoying. I mean, listen, obviously we wanted to take care of her, but, you know, the little fucking bitch threw us off the side. Each sensation I felt led to a new and different one awakening. When I came to, I was lying face first on a dry riverbed. A few body parts hurt a lot. The skin over a bunch of my joints was torn, turned blue or red, or oozing blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. Hey, we alive though! I looked up and saw how high the bridge from which I had fallen was. Considering I dropped from there, it was a miracle that I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken, upside-down car seat, which I guess some prankster had brought here. Maybe this thing had been conveniently lying right under me, allowing me to escape instant death. Miraculous. Of course I didn't know whether this miracle was fortunate or unfortunate. I failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long had I been unconscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it looked like only 1 or 2 hours had passed. But my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like so short a time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I've been asleep here for a decade. The more feeling returned to my body, the more pain flooded in. It hurt so much it would have been better not to have woken up. I needed to get to a doctor. Yeah, to Coach's clinic. The term Coach's clinic brought memories back one after another, memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Satoko's no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Hinamizawa by now. And she would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, and report on how crazy I'd seemed. The police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, would they find out for real that I'd kill her uncle and arrest me for, or would they just send me to a mental institution like I thought they might? Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, someone, stop all this pain. You can boil me or cook me after that, whatever you want. I began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. I went downstream and then through an animal trail-like path in the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I knew. Oh god, we're gonna end up at the dam, and then we're gonna meet Mion and Rena there, bro. Watch. Eventually, oh no, okay. I finally came across a familiar road and set off towards the clinic, not to my house, but to the clinic, which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind and the air was stagnant. Man, I wonder where this motherfucker's parents have been this whole fucking time. For a while now, I've been smelling this terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. And then at last I noticed something. I couldn't hear any cicadas. It was the first time I'd heard Hinamizawa be so utterly silent. Wait, are we in like the hell version? Stench of burned eggs. Wait, maybe we're in hell. When I thought back, it seemed like birds always chirped in the morning. Cicadas always cried loudly in the afternoon, and Higurashi always rose up in chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. I couldn't hear a single insect. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the treetops. I never experienced this sort of quiet before. Even the sound coming from trees lacked life somehow. Trees were yellow and many leaves were spread on the ground, despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the side of the road had yellowed, browned, and lost their vigor. Only the sunlight itself was of the June Hinamizawa I knew, and yet it seemed like the seasons had switched all of a sudden. Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to spot a few small insects turned on their backs. They weren't moving. They were corpses. Wait, no way. Okay, maybe not? Maybe all of Hinamizawa's dead? I looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around, like a child had collected them as samples and then strewn them about. This stench, what was it? It was terrible, like burned eggs. Combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in summer. Has someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? Even at school, we apparently fumigate. They call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year. I hadn't run into anybody, despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon, and yet it felt like I were sauntering about at midnight. Well, with this smell, nobody would want to be walking outside. Just what was this anyway? There was no sound, no noise, not even a breath. Hinamizawa was silent. School would come into view right after turning this corner, and yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts the children always made. Simply quiet. Just as pretending to ignore the silence had grown intolerable, I saw the school. And finally I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard idling. About 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trucks. It was hot and humid, even in my casual clothes. I couldn't imagine how unbearable that must have been. And then I remembered. Our school is rented from the Forest Service field office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did forest rangers do anyways? Felt bad for them having to work in such heat and with such stench about. They were taking colorful cargo out of the truck and lining it up in the schoolyard. There were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Their dead bodies? Heavy too, they were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly like tuna at a riverside fish market. Several dozen, hundreds of tuna were completely filling the fairly wide schoolyard up. Forgot my pain for a little while, captivated by this big forest ranger job I've never seen before. As I stood there watching in a daze, the people in raincoats working on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out and they shouted a few things back and forth. I thought they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. But then 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside and they entered the schoolyard. Sheets covered their trucks, but I could tell they were completely full. As they passed, there was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the same burned egg smell as before, but an even worse one, like rotten crab meat. What on earth was it? I've been enshrouded in one terrible stench after another all day. Then certain white letters emblazoned on the sides of the passing truck caught my eye. Ground Self-Defense Forces. What? Self-defense forces like the army? Why was the army in the schoolyard?
Oi, Kimi. どこから入ってきた?
Suddenly someone slapped me on the shoulders from behind. I turned around and a canopied SDF jeep was parked there. The SDF person had on a green raincoat and a gas mask like in the movies, carrying a compressed air cylinder. He didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anywhere.
どこから入ってきた?
When I tried to talk, I stretched a wound on my head. It made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through their masks, but they seemed surprised.
君はひなみ様の住民か？住所と名前は？
一応名前は前原圭一で、住所は獅子
After
骨
seeing
市
me
ひ
tell
なみ沢
them my
村。
name and address without hesitation, one of the SDF people watching from the jeep started talking into a
本部
radio.
本部応答402生存者発見。
402. Survivor discovered.
繰り返す。402生存者発見。場所は営林署入り口前。生存者は全身に外傷を認め自立歩行可能。これより保護し本部へ送致します。
I was prepared to go along with this police, but the SDF, I couldn't help but think it seemed a little bit much. They urged me into the back of the jeep, and then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so, and one of the troops fiddled around with it, strapping it tightly to me. It was heavy, hard to see out of, hot, and difficult to breathe. Just looking at the world through the lens made it lose its sense of reality. My breathing sounded like some giant monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper adjusting my mask.
すみません。何かあったんですか？
君はどこにいたんだ？何をしていたんだ？
Hey, don't answer a question with more questions. I was the one asking
ず
you.
っと山に入ったところにある吊り橋から落っこちて河原で多分気絶してました。今日が何曜日かもよくわからないです。
今日は昭和58年の6月22日。
2 days? Or no, 1 day had passed.
水曜日だ。
That surprised me. Satoko pushed me out the bridge on Tuesday. That meant I'd been asleep on that riverbed for an entire day.
改めて聞きますけど、何があったんですか？なんで自衛隊が来てるんです？何かの訓練ですか？
Had my question been that difficult for him? None of the troopers would answer me. The one in the driver's seat, talking on his own radio, turned on the vehicles. He turned a dial and some broadcast station or another came in. I started to listen to the voice of a radio announcer I was familiar
よ
with.
り首相官邸で行われました。記者団からの自衛隊の災害出動が迅速に行われなかったことが前例のない未曾有の大災害に直結したのではないかとの質問に対し、奥野官房長官は次のようにコメントしました。
でありまして、県知事からの派遣要請を受けて迅速に対応したものと思っております。
とこのように述べ、要請を受けてからの自衛隊の出動は迅速であった。むしろ県側の事態把握に遅れがあった可能性を示唆しました。
It's kind of crazy we do be playing this right at the fucking time that it be happening.
そもそも自衛隊の派遣を要請した県知事は、災害発生から前例のない大災害であることをいつ認識できたのか、そして災害派遣要請までにいわゆるお役所的なロスタイムが生じ、被害の拡大を招いたのではないか。今後の首相官邸より報道部の尾形記者がお送りしました。さて、ここでもう一度災害発生からの行政の対応を振り返ります。
In the middle of the night, between June 11th and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Hinamizawa village, Shishibone. The details have not yet been investigated, but there was an eruption of volcanic gas from somewhere in Hinamizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy. As it spewed out, it began to flow. That flow went down along a small river and headed directly into Hinamizawa village. After a few hours, it had covered the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 to 4 a.m. Every home and household in the village was afflicted. With most of the residents asleep, it is thought that all died without noticing the crisis. The catastrophe striking in the middle of the night caused its detection to come too late. But there was still one small opportunity to have noticed it. 3 a.m., a news dealer's shop in Okinomiya sent a vehicle carrying the morning newspaper to its branch office in Hinamizawa. Usually, the shop would be contacted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on things, but they lost contact with him as well.
非常に悔やまれています。この時点で警察か消防への連絡があったなら、事態はもっと改善されていた可能性が高いでしょう。少なくとも村全滅という惨劇は免れた可能性があります。
6 a.m. Residents in areas in the same region began continuously calling 119 to report the smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, and headaches. The fire department received the same reports, all from the same confined region. They speculated a truck loaded with chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported it to the local police. 6:30, contact was lost with a patrol car on duty in Hinamizawa area after the officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. The local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported to the prefecture and prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to nearby prefectures for inspection, so in accordance with regulation, the prefectural environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to Director General and set up a disaster countermeasure office. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late.
近年市民団体によって指摘されていますが、議員待遇者との視察旅行は完全に親睦を目的にしたもので主演三昧だと噂されています。近い筋の話では、知事は徹夜で飲んだくれて泥酔状態で就寝していたそうです。環境部長から電話があった時も泥酔していて、全く取り合ってもらえなかったのだそうです。
And so the authorities, in the hour or so it took for the governor to grasp the situation and sober up, did nothing but accumulate information.
知事は言うに及びませんが、知事不在時には本部長を務めることになる環境部長にも怠慢の責任が問われるでしょう。また、県としても大災害を想定したマニュアルが用意されておらず、対応が常に後手に回ってしまったのが致命的でした。
9:12 a.m. On the advice of the prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. By the time the chemical defense unit equipped with protective equipment arrived on the scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak.
とにかく深夜の就寝中というのは不運でした。同じ災害でも日中に起こっていれば全く違ったでしょう。
All households in Hinamizawa village were wiped out. There were over 1,000 victims. SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground, but their results are predicted to only increase the number.
スタジオにはゲストとして火山性の災害にお詳しい地学博士の藤原先生にお越しいただいております。先生、このような恐ろしい毒ガスが突然湧き出すようなことはあるのでしょうか？
I don't understand. How do we get this power? Ask Keiichi. I don't get it, man. What transpired that would have given us this kind of ability, right? I don't know. So how did Mion cause the volcano? She did it. All right. How are you gonna blame Mion for this flop? I'm not blaming Mion. Clearly Mion's fucking dead, bro.
「加工部に限定して申し上げれば決して珍しいことではありません。
Or none of this is actually happening and Keiichi's just fucking crazy.
火山大国日本にはたくさんの活火山がありますが、それらの火口部はいずれも危険なガスの噴出する危険性があり、一般登山者も火口部周辺には立ち入らないのが一般的です。
では今回、南沢村を襲った卵のフラン臭のするガスというのも火口部では一般的なガスということですか？
Did Takara ever say anything about like making offerings to Oishiro-sama giving powers? I don't think so.
卵のフラン臭という特徴からおそらく火山ガスの中でも事故例の多い硫化水素によるものだと考えられます。高い濃度であれば非常に危険なものです。
南沢村は火山の火口部と全く縁遠い場所にあるわけですが、そういった火口部でない場所にもその硫化水素が発生することがあるのでしょう。
It's the act of a curse killing everything. Wait. And then Watanagashi, meaning, right? The letting of guts, right? Hang on. Chapter 1 was Onikakushi. Onikakushi, which was demoning away, right? But we didn't get demoned away. Maybe we did, sort of? But they found our body. But I guess that was like the act of, I'm so confused, man. I'm trying to think, maybe each title specifically means something. But it makes sense. In chapter 2, Watanagashi, we got our fucking guts, right? Like, ripped up by, Mion. And then ended up at the hospital and fucking died anyways. I don't know, man.
詳しいことが分かっていないので、まだはっきりとしたことは申し上げられませんが、外国の例で温泉の地下のマグマだまりからガスが噴出したという記録があります。極めて希少な例ですが、必ずしも加工部でなくても発生の可能性はあるということです。
先生、ありがとうございました。今、防衛庁から発表があった模様です。防衛庁の森川さん。
はい、防衛庁です。先ほど防衛庁はひなみ沢村ガス災害の主原因となった火山性ガスについて、陸上自衛隊科学学校での分析の結果、二酸化炭素と硫化水素の混合ガスによるものだったと発表しました。
森川さん、そのガスは依然として噴出を続け、周囲に拡大しているのでしょうか？
現在、ひなみ沢村で救助活動に入っている自衛隊第9師団の報告として、ガスの濃度は徐々に薄まりつつある。これ以上の被害の拡大はないと発表しました。ですが依然、ひなみ沢村地区は危険な状態にあることには変わりなく、今後も注意深く監視を続ける必要があるようです。
防衛庁から報道部の森川記者がお伝えしました。続きまして、避難を余儀なくされている沖宮地区住民の模様をリポートします。現在、避難所の一つとなっている下篠崎小学校に報道部の現地記者がお伝えいたします。
But it doesn't explain Rika, right? Because Rika dying is the one thing that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah. Let me put my cam back. Like, I don't understand why Rika died. Yeah. I don't know. What's up, Petapon? Hello? Inside the Jeep, clamoring and bouncing along the rough road, none answered my muttered question. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night. Where was the Hinamizawa village anyway? Some place deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I'd heard about on the radio were always like that. They were all places I'd never heard of, much less knew of the locations of. Wiped out? What does that mean? Will they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? No, Keiichi, everybody's dead. Eventually, we came into view of Coach's clinic. For the first time, I saw the flag of Japan hanging on a pole outside. Japan's circular sun hung down as though exhausted. Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. When they saw the Jeep coming, men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher.
もう大丈夫だよ。具合は歩けるかい？
歩けます。
Hey. And because of my owls, they forced me to lay in the stretcher anyways. People who seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio.
外傷多数、骨折もしくは内臓損傷の可能性大。頭部に大きな裂傷、瞳孔正常、眼底に出血なくも脳内損傷の可能性は否定できず。
And then from the clinic entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Hinazawa, and that's how I knew they were victims. They brought the stretchers in front of a truck. Two troops holding shoulders and legs like some kind of baggage picked them up and threw them into the truck. In the trunk of the truck, people's bodies piled in heaps. They were just like baggage, and that told me they were already nothing but shells. At that moment, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trunks and them lined up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Hundreds of empty shells, corpses, 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 corpses. Okay, how many more times are you gonna say it, motherfucker? Okay, like, come on, I'm reading here.
バカ！犠牲者を粗末に扱うな。彼は村の住民だぞ。
The troops carrying the sacks answered with a humble salute. The world didn't need this insane version of Hinazawa. My final wish, again, was granted. I didn't understand anything anymore. None of it mattered. I wished, I cursed, and then it happened the next day. Then please, tomorrow morning, let me die. That insane night is still going on. Please, please end it already.
おい、完成の名前を呼びかけ、早く！
前原君、聞こえるかい？聞こえるなら瞬きでいいからしてくれ！前原君、前原君、前原君！
Suddenly, the world didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't interested in their
呼
cries.
吸が停止したぞ。気道確保。人工呼吸。絶対に生かせ。畜生。もうこれ以上死者はごめんだぞ。死んでもいい命なんかないんだ。殺すな。殺すな。
I could hear the voice of a man crying and screaming in my ears. Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. I still don't know what happened to Satoko's uncle. Keiichi never killed him in this, unless like, and his corpse never came up. Like, they were so commonplace, and they soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's life, even if it was to save Satoko. He did kill Satoko, confirmed, but why was there no body, right? Like, that's my issue, that there was no body. If this is the price I had to pay, this horrible tragedy, then this is a little much. Oishiro-sama. Bro, it was dark? Bro, the cops literally dug everywhere. Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Satoko said something. Oishiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target at first, but kills everyone they love before that. Oishiro-sama's curse. It was a convenient excuse I told myself at the very end, that it wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Oishiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious. But last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah. Today, I had not heard those footsteps following me, even once. And now I was liberated. As the cries of the Higurashi I couldn't have been hearing filled my mind, their tearful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. Liberation escaped at last. June 22nd, 1983, early morning. A widespread disaster occurred in Hinamazawa village, Shishibone Prefecture. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide erupted from Monigofuchi Swamp, one of the Hinamazawa area's water sources, and spread through the entire village. Nah, you know what happened? He fucking put the bike in there, and then the bike, like, finally hit the bottom, and then, like, something ignited, and then it caused a fucking explosion, and then all the fucking gas went up and fucking killed everybody. Like, actually, you know? Like, maybe that was what actually happened. There were 1,200 victims. 20 have gone missing. 20 have gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented, forcing local governments to evacuate approximately 600,000 people. According to later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onigafuchi Swamp, and the gas that gushed from it was determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming the disaster was a curse based in Hinamazawa village legends, first sparking a wave of chaos. There were apparently local legends of a curse spreading a miasma, destroying the village, and some scholars believe a similar gas disaster may have happened in the past and remained part of these legends. More extreme periodicals suggested this was an extension of the string of freak death incidents that had been happening in recent years in Hinamazawa village, stirring interest and theories about this curse of Oyashiro-sama. I mean, I really want to know who the 20 people that are missing are, because I feel like that's so important. In addition, relatives of those in Hinamazawa village who had escaped the disaster complained of sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some of them even died of unknown causes, further encouraging such extreme opinions. On top of that, several relatives professing to be possessed by Orishiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways. And the impact the disaster has had on the entire nation can no longer be ignored. Wild visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around in the middle of the night, killing people, spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining of insomnia, difficulty breathing, and headache, dizziness, etc. Some who identified themselves as being obsessed by it began doing odd things. Some of these were mistakenly attributed by the tabloid press, but afterwards, some even began to call the mental issues arising from the Hinamizawa tragedy the Hinamizawa syndrome. The Hinamizawa village region, the object of all kinds of rumors and speculations, currently closed off, and even flying overhead is prohibited. The prohibition was, at one point, undone as a result of a decrease in the gas's density, but that autumn, another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area being cordoned off again. Word is that the area is sound asleep, all traces of its former life intact and left to rot. Only one survivor remains, Keiichi Marubara, age 1 blank, who lived at blank Hinamizawa village. At the time of the rescue, he had some trouble breathing due to fluid buildup in his lungs, but as a result of life-saving procedures, he was kept alive. He's currently in a general hospital somewhere in the prefecture. The press have been asking for him for some time, but all interviews are being refused. What did he see in Hinamizawa? What happened between June 21st and June 22nd in Hinamizawa village? Today, he remains silent, unwilling to speak of it. Well, I guess he lost his powers as soon as the footsteps stopped. Murder at shrine. Rena's dead. Mion is dead. Satoko's dead. Alright. Keiichi's parents are dead. Shion committed suicide August 27th. Bro, that's a day after my birthday. Attempted suicide at victim's hospital on August 29th by Keiichi. Diagnosed with mental disorder. What the fuck? Okay. It says Satoko's missing, not dead? Oh, really? Teppei was dead, missing too, not dead? Okay. What in the fuck, man? This chapter made the least sense out of everything. Like, there's not even anything to speculate. Did we ever figure out what the body at the start of chapter 3 was? Nope, we didn't. We could assume it's An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing the possessions of their son, who passed away 8 years ago. The son went missing with it when his fishing boat capsized in 1995. He was 47 at the time of his death. 8 years later, in 2003, they had begun to reorganize their son's remains in order to organize their minds. They came across the cassette tape in question. From 1975 to 1989, deceased had experience working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and this tape is thought to have been created during that time. The label on the tape read 11/28/1983 Keiichi Marubara. It is thought the tape was recorded during an interview with Keiichi Marubara, the only survivor. As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, many interested parties attempted to question him, but he never once spoke physically to anyone in public space. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being of extremely high value.
なんだか録音されてると思うと、すごく喋りにくいですね。
気にしない気にしない。ほら、こうすれば録音してるのも気にならないでしょ。
After this, the sound quality dramatically decreases. Did he cover the recording device with something?
じゃあ始めるね。
Then let's get started.
まず最初の質問から。圭一君はあの大災害の夜どこにいたのかな？
神社から裏に抜けて、ずっと林道を進んで、吊り橋があるんですよ。山に入る少し前に。そこから落ちて気を失ってました。
それは大災害の夜、つまり21日から22日にかけての深夜のこと？
いいえ、21日の火曜日の朝です。それで、次の日の昼間に目を覚ましたわけですから。
どうしてそんなところに？誰もが持つ疑問だけど、当日は平日で、しかも落ちた橋は君の家と学校からは大きく離れているよね。ザックバランに行って、君が大災害の発生を事前に知っていて、村から逃げる途中に吊り橋から落ちたんじゃないかっていう声もあるんだけど。
冗談じゃないです。勝手なことを言わないでください。
私も随分ひどい言い分だと思うよ。気を悪くしないでね。さて、次に圭一君が落ちたという吊り橋なんだけど、神社の裏から林道を抜けて至る吊り橋というのは？
多分、俺もあんまり行かないところなので、自信は。
そんなに行かないところに、どうして平日の朝に行ったのか、疑問は尽きないけどな。それで、
This motherfucker
こ
isn't
の
saying
君が
anything.
気絶していたという河原なんだけど、実はそれは
ありえない。また、ありえないですか。まだ。
For a little while, Keiichi Maebara mutters the word impossible several times.
どうしてありえないと？
火山ガスが発生したのは鬼ヶ淵という沼なのは知ってるよね。それで学者の先生が緻密な模型を使ってシミュレーションをしたら興味深いことが分かったんだってさ。例の火山ガスってのは空気よりも重いらしくて、地形に沿って低いところへ流れ込む水みたいな性質があるんだってさ。それで発生源の鬼ヶ淵沼からそういうガスが噴出し、どれくらいの時間をかけて村を覆うのか実験がされたんだ。そしたらさ、君が気絶していたという河原、流れ込むんだよ、ガスが。
よく言ってる意味がわからないんですが。
つまり、君が本当にこの河原で気絶していたなら、君は丸一晩、猛毒の火山ガスの中にいたことになるんだよ。だからつまり、君がここで気絶をしていた可能性は否定されたわけさ。もっとざっくばらんに言うよ。私はね、君が嘘をついているんじゃないかなって思うんだ。君は大災害の時、安全なところに身を潜めていて、ガスが薄れた頃合いを見計らって村に現れて自衛隊の人に本を。
This is a bit of a stretch. There's no way fucking Keiichi.
どうかな？図星かな？
For a short time, the journalist presses Keiichi Maebara further in a teasing way, but all that can be heard are heavy sighs.
仮にそうだったとしても。
驚かないとはどういう意味だい？
Is this recording really taken of Keiichi Maebara? Some harbor suspicions.
ありえないって、あのひなみ沢では。ありえないことなんて、いくらでも起こるんです。死んだはずの人が生きてる。そんなこと、珍しいことじゃないんですよ。まさか、俺自身が、死んだはずなのに生きているってやつを、立証しようとはね。
Oh, he's lost it. What the fuck? Journalist and Keiichi Maebara both laugh for a while. To verify his authenticity, I had the others in the Maebara family check the tapes with his voice in it. However, the sound was not clear and much time had passed, so the relatives I checked with couldn't remember what he sounded like. I was unable to gain positive proof it was actually his voice.
あの大災害がひなみ沢連続開始事件の5年目のたたりではないかという話については。
いや、それ5年目のたたりは俺ですから。
え？何のこと？
何のことって、あんたの話に対する答えですよ。
Doubts also remain regarding the
あの
date
大海外
11/28
は
written on the tape.
まあ言っても信じないでしょうけど、俺が起こしたんです。俺がね、こんな村丸ごと死んじまえって願ったから。
そりゃ豪快な話だね。
豪快？そういう面白い言い方もあるんですね。
After Mayabara Keiichi's failed suicide attempt on a certain August day, 2 months after the incident, the disaster, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder and transported to a treatment facility.
あの時の俺にはね、何か神がかり的な力が宿ってたんですよ。そう。例えるなら、足音かな。
足音ってなんだいそれ。
あんた、足音を聞いたこともないんですか？ペタペタ、ひたひた。
Facility never allowed any news coverage, so it's extremely unlikely that a tape from media dated August 1983 would have his voice on it.
それでね、自分がちゃんと立ち止まったにもかかわらず、気をつけた方がいいですよ。
そうだね。
そんなに俺、面白いこと話してますか？
However, the reporter had been criticized for his forceful methods of collecting data while he was active, so there's still a possibility that he broke into the facility and forced Keiichi Maibara to talk.
監督と俺のことを同情したり、話を聞いたりしてるふりをしながら、その実、
Damn, bro, he still hates
そのことを異
fucking.
常者
He
扱い
still
して
hates
るのだ。
Coach.
そんなことはないよ。
いや、俺にはわかるんです。あんたの目は監督と同じだ。
Is this truly Keiichi Maibara's voice?
あ
The
の日以来、
authenticity of this recording is still
もう
wrapped
足
in
音は聞
mystery.
こえない。だから俺にはもう、あんな恐ろしい力は残ってないだろうけど、今ここでもう一度、あんたの死を願ってみるよ。
Okay, relax, Keiichi, you're not
俺
him.
に不愉快な話ばかりをする。あんたの死を。そうだな。今回は一つ、死に方も決めてみようかな。高野さんは焼け死にだったから。じゃああんたは逆に水だ。
Wait, but then it happened. Because their son drowned.
水に溺れて死ぬってのはどうだい？
A coincidence. It's another
絶好調だっ
coincidence.
た当時の
Okay?
俺なら、次の朝までには必ず死んでる。さてあんたは、何日後に水で死ぬかな？
Mion did it. What the fuck?
あんたも気をつけろよ。俺ごときにたたり殺されるな。
Oh, there's the title. He said it. He said it. Tatarigoroshi. The recording ends in the middle of Keiichi Maibara's laugh. And Keiichi Maibara, late on night of November 30th, 2 days after the interview, he suddenly died from a high fever, cause unknown. Wait, chat. Records remain of strange words he kept giving after an extra set of
足音が
Chat, what
ま
year
た
did he
一
just
つ
die?
余計に
1983, okay. So it took 5 months for the curse to kill him, and then it took 15 years for the curse to kill. Is there any reason to even bother trying to logic this? I don't really get it. No? Okay. Trying to see if there's any rhyme or reason to it, but this one made like the least sense, like completely. Like this one made zero fucking sense, man. Like I have no clue what was happening in this one. But there we go. Chapter 3 is done. Chapter 3 is done. I just wanna...
この度も日暮の泣く頃に水たたり殺しを最後までお楽しみいただき誠にありがとうございました。これまでのシナリオとは少しお楽しみいただけたなら幸いです。
今回も胸のすくようなバッドエンドだったわね。私個人としては大災害が実際に起こった時の惨劇の描写も欲しかったところだけど、
そんなわけありままたしてもまたしても大大大バッドエンド。
Hey, this is my goat.
あれれバッドエンドって割にはみーちゃんは楽しそうだね。
The curse activated and he again heard the footsteps, maybe waiting for the curse to be transferred for Aoyashiro-sama so it could survive. I have no idea why he suddenly started hearing footsteps again, but like...
っていうかもう笑うしかないってのが
Where
本音
was
でし
she
ょう
the
ね。
whole fucking thing, man? She just like has one scene and then commits suicide a day after my birthday. Like, okay, bro. Like, just say you hate me, Shion. The fuck? Alright, let's not go too far into this just in case we get spoiled, right? They say some stuff usually about the next chapter. I don't really want to see any of that. But, alright, chat. YouTube as well. Pretty good stream, chat. This was obviously our first test stream to multi-streaming to YouTube. We had, for most of the stream today, 300 plus viewers on YouTube. Thank you for...
Start chapter 4 really.
As well as our Twitch numbers pretty much stayed the same as well. So I think one time between both platforms we had like over like 3.5, 3.6K. So it's kind of crazy. Thank you to all the YouTube frogs that stuck around. How many chapters left are there? Well, Jeremy, there are up to 8 chapters. So we have 5 more chapters to go. Listen to the new OP? Nope, because if it's like last time, we're gonna get stuck into starting the chapter into seeing the new OP, so we're not gonna do that. But thank you everybody on YouTube side for hanging out as well. Also everybody on Twitch. Okay, Dodi, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, you're so hungry. Yep. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh my fucking god, he's crazy. Jesus, alright. Yeah, I know you're hungry. Okay. You never did those tips at the beginning? Maybe we'll check them out again, but yes, sir. Let me pop up here. We got boom, the YouTuber. Bro, what is this noise, man? Shut up. We got the YouTube frogs here. I think we hit a peak of 365 viewers on YouTube. Let's go. Most of the stream we're above 300 as well. Very nice. Thank you guys. As always, yes, sir. Good stream, Robert. Thank you. Our first YouTube stream. Hopefully, this could start translating towards YouTube videos as well. I don't really know. I'm gonna figure out how to get all the monetization stuff set up, chat, for like membership, super chats, etc. But rate someone on YouTube, I don't think that's a thing. I don't think YouTube has rating. Like that's not a thing. But I'll see y'all tomorrow, chat. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's see here. Oh, shit. Ruby's got a new model? Didn't we raid her recently? I have no idea. I kind of lost track of who we've been raiding. Raid Sweetly? We literally raided her yesterday, you stupid pig. Oh my god, what is this model Ruby got? Alright, I'll send you guys over there. What the fuck? She decided to make a Nikkei character or what? She literally made bro, that model is literally like Tove. No, not Tove. What's her fucking name? This fucking Nikkei character that puts her feet up. Trony, yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night, everybody.